Okay. Good morning, class. My name is Mr. Febs, and as I'm sure you're aware, I'm your teacher for 3rd grade honors language arts, especially. So today, before we get into today's little lesson, I want to give you guys a quick little preview. And prior to... let's not let a little generator noise get in the way. Today, we're going to talk about two things, especially in language arts, which you probably have noticed, but have you ever really truly explored? Yep, that's right, we're going there. We are talking about prefixes and suffixes. Imagine two word parts, one in the beginning, one in the end, in which it helps change the meaning of a word, or two, or the whole dictionary. Any case, today we're going to talk about prefixes and suffixes and how they change the meaning of the word. So today, I want to give you guys a quick moment to clear your minds. Now, as you guys are clearing your minds, the first thing that comes to your mind, what do you guys think of as the meaning of a prefix or a suffix? If it wasn't what I told you, what did you guys think? Okay, you thought it was a clearance sale at Sears or something. Good joke, though. I'll give you that. Now, in order to really understand a prefix or a suffix, you have to first look at a few examples. Now, the prefixes are often added at the beginning. So, let me give you a few examples. There's re, there's un, dis, ex, and pre. Now, let's take a word like un. You notice how it has that little minus sign? The direction of the prefix or the suffix, if it's on the right, it goes in the beginning. But if it begins at the left, it's a suffix. So one more time from the top. A good way to tell apart a prefix and a suffix, if the minus sign is at the end of the word, it's a prefix. But if it's at the beginning of a word, then it's a suffix. Are we clear? So, in this case, we can tell it's a prefix what? Because it's at the end, correct? Now, let's look at a few words like unstoppable, unblockable, unlockable. No, I'm not talking about a new Incredibles movie. This is literally a few words that start with un. Hard as that may seem, the word un has a meaning of its own even before you add it to the word like stoppable or lockable. Now, let's look at the word unlockable here. When you think of unlockable, let's break it down. Unlockable. Now, lockable alone would mean that you can easily close it down, right? But what happens if I put the word un at the beginning of lockable? That's right. Unlockable would mean that you can finally open it. Or at the very least, there's no locking it. You see, un by itself means, to most grammar rules, not to, or not capable of happening. Like, let me give you another example. Unstoppable. The word stoppable by itself means that it's not capable of happening, right? I mean, it's capable of happening. Stoppable. But what happens if I put the word un before unstoppable? That's right. Change the meaning of the word to you cannot stop it. So now that we've more or less got our feet wet with how prefixes can work, let's start with a few more examples and then we're going to move on to suffixes. So far, let me do a quick check. How's everyone doing so far? Any concerns? Excuse me for a moment. Any concerns so far? Okay. So right now, we've only just begun. Let's really get into it this time. Let's look at words like re, or dis, or ex, or pre. Actually, here's a better idea for a starting point. Let's look at the word pre. Now, the word prefix alone. No, together, sorry. You notice how I got my finger on the word fixes, or fix? Yeah, there we go. The word fix, you can tell already it means to make something, right? But what happens if I add the word pre, or the prefix pre, at the beginning? it changes the meaning. So in this case, every prefix, just like every word has a meaning, means something different, when it otherwise enhances the quality or changes the definition of a word if not already added. So in this case, prefix, or pre in this case, would mean that it happens at the beginning. Like, you know when you go, here's a really good rule of thumb. The next time you ever forget pre, imagine going to a movie theater and you're about to see your favorite Avengers movie, but you forget that, what are those little trailers at the beginning? I'll tell you, they're called prefixes. Prefixes are usually indicated by the pre, or the preview, of the word. By the way, I heard that the Black Widow movie is going to be amazing, so you might want to put that on your little calendar, guys. Tell your mom and dad to take you. Moving along, let's think of some more words with pre. There's preview, there's prefix, preface, which, for those of you with the need to get extra credit, you might want to jot this down in your notebook. This is an extra credit question. Preface, or preface, is a fancier way of saying preview or prelude to a book. I know. So that's one's going to be worth 5 extra credit points on the next test. Okay? Let's look at some other prefixes. There's dis. Oh, brother. If only I could have a field day talking about the word dis. Now, dis in this case means that it's like the anti-quality of a word. The anti-version. Let me break that down for you guys. There's words like, say, wow. Looks like Mr. Fez is going to need a little help on this one. Can you guys stop for a minute and think of any words that start with dis, like that? Okay. I will wait. Let me show. Disappointment. Oh my goodness, that was so helpful. So, let's break down the word disappointment. Appointment, we've all had them before, right? Going to a doctor, going to see an office or something. It's unfortunately the truth of life. You gotta have an appointment at something. But unfortunately, the same can be said about disappointments. Now, if I added the word dis to the word appointment at the beginning, who can tell me what you think it means just by adding dis? Okay. This. This is one confusing, troubling question, ain't it, class? No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so dis would often mean to cancel out or negate. Minus. Yeah, pretty much like the minus sign of words, if you will. So let me give you a few more words. Disagreement, or disgruntled, dissatisfied, dislocated, like a dislocated shoulder, you know? What you're looking at is how the word dis would take average words like located, satisfied, or anything else like that and cancel it out. It's like it just escaped into the phantom zone. I know. Moving along. Let's look at another word. X. Now in this case, X would normally be applied to other words like extreme or PowerPoint Excel, or in any case, X would often mean something that is no longer. So let me give you a few examples. There's ex-soldier, ex-port, and there's extreme. Classical as that example may be, the word X is supposed to mean no longer. This one is a little different than un or dis, because if dis can cancel out and un means you can't, then X would mean that you're no longer a part of. So we're going to look at it from an example of a sentence. Like, I'm going to give you guys a sentence, and you're going to tell me, where do you see the word with X in it, and what do you think it means by the mere implication? Now, the ex-soldier waited in line to pick up his uniform and clothes. Ex-soldier. Why? What does the X mean? Just by the sentence. he's no longer a soldier, correct? That's right, because X means that they no longer are a part of, or they were. Now one more prefix to go, and we're going to get right down to the nitty-gritty. Round 2, suffixes. Now, suffixes... No, getting ahead of myself here. Woo! This Florida weather's got me crazy, y'all. Right now, re... That one. Ah, yes, how rude of me. Re. Now, the words like return, rerun, refine, kind of like what we're doing now. We're refining our vocabulary. If you look at the 3 words that I've used, you'll notice that they all start with re. So when you add them to a word like fine, or run, or post, or oh dear, it was on the tip of my tongue. Anyway, the word re, or the prefix re, would mean that you're doing it again. Sometimes, if you're lucky, it might improve it, you know? So let's look at an example like repost. Raise your hand if you were ever on YouTube, or if you know somebody that's on YouTube. You know when you go to the comment section, they'll often ask you to repost something, or share, or resubmit or something. The moment you add the prefix re, it's supposed to automatically mean that you do it again. So, when you think of the word submit, for example, it means that you're already turning it in. Kind of like what you guys should be doing by the end of this lesson or the class, right? But when you add the prefix resubmit, that means that you got to turn it in again, because not only are you doing it again, you're doing it for a better grade. Or for a better result. See what I mean by sometimes if you're lucky? Moving along, there's other words I can think of it, like repost, reshare, resubmit, repaint. Yes, little known fact, some houses do require a second or third coating of paint, just to maintain that look. So, moral of the story, when you look at the word re as a prefix, it means what? To do it again, and sometimes change the value for something better, right? Okay, so before we go on to suffixes, are there any other concerns? Any questions? Troubles? Okay, so let's get busy. Moving along. Okay, so suffixes. If a prefix was at the beginning of a word, what do you guys think is a suffix going to be in a word? If you said at the end of a word, you're correct. Now, a suffix, like a prefix, is supposed to change the quality of a word or the definition. Sometimes add a new one if you're lucky. But in this case, because a suffix is added at the end of a word, it's supposed to indicate a quality overall. Let me try to break it down for you guys. Let's look at words like meant, shun, all, and, aim. You notice how as we had the little minus sign at the beginning, does it bring to mind a certain clue that I taught you guys at the beginning? That's right. If the minus is at the beginning of a suffix, then that means that it goes at the end of a word. And if it goes at the end of a prefix, it goes where? That's right, at the beginning. So let's look at words like meant. 2 words I can think of in my head are shipment and equipment. So let's look at a word like equip. Any gamers in here? Oh, you guys are going to be in for a treat. Now, for those of you who have ever played something like Fortnite, you're often told to equip something. Now, the word alone, equip, means that you have to have something in your hand or readily available, right? Now, when you look at the word meant added at the end of equip, you're not only talking about what you have in your hand or on you, you're talking about everything in total. Otherwise known as your gear, right? Now in this case, it's not the only way to talk about the overall vibe of what you have in your body or what you have in your bag. Sometimes it can also talk about a verb. So if, like in words like equipment, you can talk about a noun or a pronoun in this case. It can also talk about a verb. Shipment. Let me use it in a sentence just to get my point across. The shipment of cheese came all the way from Calcutta. Pricey option too. Back to business. The word shipment in this case not only talks about the overall stuff being sent from one place like Calcutta to here, but it talks about the act of shipping something. The word ship alone can mean two things. On one hand, it can mean a boat, a big boat, or a little boat. Whereas on the other hand, it could mean to take something one place and send it something else, right? But when you add the word meant to it, you're adding the quality of the word that means that you're in the process or the act of doing something in a more professional manner. So you definitely want to add that to your to-do list. Oh, by the way, that's another word that's going to be on the quiz that's worth extra credit. So you guys might want to jot that down too. Okay? Guys done jotting that down? Hot doggy, let's get it on. Now, shun. We've often seen this word many times, but we don't really know how it pertains to suffixes. Well, let's think of two more examples. There's action, and there's protection. Now, protect means to do what? You're looking over something, right? You're guarding it with your life. You're standing by king, queen, and country, or your nation and country, just to look over it, right? But protection, the moment you add shun to the end, it means that you're in the act or the art of doing something. Kind of like what you saw with shipment earlier. So that just gives you an idea of how shun works as a suffix. Another way to look at it would be act. Kind of low budget, but it has its moments. For instance, you look at the word act. A-C-T, right? When you think of the word acting, you know you're just pretending, right? Or pretending. But the moment that you add shun at the end, it's like the art of playing or pretending. Think of it like the drama teacher. You know, you just want to put some spunk into every act you do. You want to have a little fun. It's like that drama friend that just loves to spice up life. That's shun. Now, let me give you guys a quick moment to jot down some stuff. I'm going to be checking on something. Oh, good. We got enough time for one more suffix. Now, ing. Unlike the other two suffixes, which added to the quality of the act of doing, this one is a little more present tense, if you will. Meaning, it's not just happening, it's literally happening right now. Words like happening, or running, or jumping, or fighting, or swimming, or climbing, they all have a verb-like vibe, right? The moment you add ing at the end of a word, like those, you're not only talking about the act of doing something, you're talking about the act of doing something in motion. So let me give you a sentence to really hammer my point home. Let's say, for instance, this sentence. Tony was walking to the pizza store today. Now, who can tell me where they see the verb with ing in the middle? In the end. I'm sorry, can you speak up a little more? Thank you, I'm a little deaf in my left ear, so you'll have to bear with me. I'll be more than happy to appease that. Yes, it is walking. Why? Because when you're walking, you're not only walking, you're doing it now, in the present. So, ing is the suffix that functions in the now. Repeat after me. Ing is the suffix in the now. And once more for good measure from the right. That's right. Ing is the suffix that is in the now. Ing is the suffix that is in the now. Okay, so I'm going to give you guys one sentence so that way we all do it together, just so we get the overall vibe before we get to our assignments. Here's our sentence, and you're going to tell me which of the following words have a prefix and a suffix. The only clue I'm going to give you is that there are 3 in total. The shipment of running shoes was pre-ordered 2 weeks ago. Okay, let's take a moment to look it over. The shipment of running shoes was pre-ordered today? Okay, so if you guys by any chance said shipment, running, and pre-ordered, then congratulations, you guys got this. Everybody go take one student from your groups, go to the board, write up a point for your extra credit table. Now, to wrap things up, we're going to ask you guys if you have any questions before we hand out some assignments. You guys are going to get out your pencils, you're going to clear your desk in the next 2 or 3 minutes. And of course, you guys are going to have to the rest of the class period before lunch to submit the stuff. Okay? Are there any concerns? Any questions? Anybody? Don't be shy. Alright. So before we begin our assignments, who can tell me what's the little rule about terminating a prefix and a suffix? That's right. A prefix will often have a little minus at the end of the add-in, whereas a suffix will often have a minus at the beginning of the word add part. So we got this? Any concerns? Good. All right, I'm going to get started handing out some papers.